काफ़ी पढ़ते हैं और बहुत रियलाइज़ किया है। और प्रभु जी का हमारा दामोदर देश में जो शिक्षा कार्यक्रम है प्रभु जी ने स्टार्ट किया था। और जैसा भक्ति शास्त्री, भक्ति वैभव, उससे पहले जो हमारा शिक्षा प्रोग्राम होते थे सबका प्रभु जी ने यहाँ पर प्रारंभ किया। और अभी प्रभु जी जो जीबीसी कॉलेज है उसमें मेंटर बोल के सेवा कर रहा है। और प्रभु जी इज़ वेल सपोर्टेड बाय उनका अर्धांगिनी रेवती गोपी माता जी। और प्रभु आज एक विशेष सब्जेक्ट पर बात करने वाला है, पिलग्रिमेज एंड रियलाइजेशन, तीर्थस्थल और उसका अनुभव। अभी काफ़ी हम लोग कुंभ मेला में जाने के लिए तैयारी कर रहा है। जो प्रभु का आज प्रवचन it will help us what should be our consciousness when we go to pilgrimage. Okay, ज़्यादा हरे कृष्ण प्रभु, स्वागत है आपको। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So Hindi translations will be going on parallel, right? Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshulmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We welcome you all for this Sunday feast program of Damodardesh. As Jagannath Prabhu announced, today's topic is about pilgrimage and some realizations or meditations or whatever we may call. We all know that currently in India there's a very heightened devotional atmosphere. Millions of devotees across the world are going to Prayagraj for the holy dip in Triveni Sangam, which is the confluence of three very important and holy rivers which flow through India: Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati. And also when they go to that confluence of three holy rivers and then take a dip in the holy waters, they also go to other places nearby Prayagraj. So Vrajleelanath Prabhu is taking some of our congregational members to Prayagraj to experience the Kumbh Mela. Some of us are going during the coming weekend. Okay, and for us in ISKCON, apart from this Kumbh Mela that comes once in 12 years, and this time it happens to be during January, February, and immediately after that we have Navdeep Mandal Parikrama. And then after that we have yearly Damodardesh Yatra pilgrimage, which is also generally organized by Vrajleelanath Prabhu. So pilgrimages or remembrance of those or meeting the devotees who those have completed is an ongoing process for us in Damodardesh. So we are very, very lucky in this aspect. Somebody is always going to some pilgrimage, he's coming and we are meeting them, even though we may not be able to go in for all, but yet we get some benefit of realization of that. So during my lifetime till now, I also had a good opportunity to visit some holy places, which in Sanskrit are referred as tirthas. Tirtha is a holy place. I am sure you also would have gone to some pilgrimages, visiting holy places and in India and also abroad. For us in ISKCON, another great thing is that our holy places are not just limited to India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and all. Our holy places are across the world, because wherever there is a temple of ISKCON in the world, it's an holy place. Particularly those temples which Srila Prabhupada has established, they are definitely a very, very holy place for us, because we see the Srila Prabhupada's presence, energy and compassion in those places. So in the past, I used to think that going to a holy place was a Tirtha Yatra, yeah, the pilgrimage. Going to holy place is a pilgrimage, right? A lot of us think. I was quite satisfied in doing all those Tirthayatras. However, in 2018, I got a very different realization. It was the last day of our Char Dham Yatra. Char Dham means 4 places of important place of pilgrimage. And this pilgrimage covers Rameshwaram, that is in the South India, where several pastimes of Lord Ramchandra happened before Rama encountered Ravana. And then from Rameshwaram, devotees go to Jagannath Puri, that's in the east, a sacred place very well known and where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed for several years. And then directly from east, devotees go to Dwaraka, that is in the west, where Lord Sri Krishna performed his pastimes for several years. After performing the pastimes in Vrindavan, Mathura, Lord Krishna went to Dwaraka, and that's where he has spent many, many years there. And finally, in north of India, that is Badrinath, a sacred place which is in the foothills of Himalayas, and a great place for meditation. That's where Uddhava was sent by Krishna to do meditation and preaching after Krishna's departure. So this Chardham Yatra is a very, very important yatra. Many devotees feel that once in a lifetime they should do it. So luckily I was also there in 2018 group, and I was very satisfied. And we are at the end, last day. Yatra is finished. We all came to Rishikesh after 16 days. It went well, so did I think that it went well. On the last day of the trip, normally when we have this kind of a very tough odysseys like trips, you're kind of relaxed on the last day because everything went kind of well. And we also were planning a Thanksgiving party and also to share some fun moments of the trip. So luckily, in that last leg of our trip, segment, we had a very good fortune of having His Grace Sarabham Prabhu with us. So obviously he was invited on the dais to speak on that day also, before our gala dinner that we were planning to have a lot of fun, because we all thought we had done a fantastic yatra and everything was well, everybody was safe, healthy and all. So generally when Sarabham Prabhu gives his sessions or pravachans, he's very jovial. A lot of humor is built into what he delivers and how he delivers message, and it's very, very powerful he delivers. But somehow on that day, when we were all in a very happy mood that everything went well, and Sarabham Prabhuji was also there with us in the last segment, for me he appeared to be grave, which was a bit unusual. So my attention span increased to know why Prabhuji is pretty grave on that day, which is not normal, his normal demeanor. And he started to speak. So then I was trying to listen to him carefully. He said, please listen to this carefully. Tirtha Yatra or pilgrimage is not just going from one known holy place to another without internal transformation. So that was like a bullet for me, because we were expecting Sarabham Prabhuji to glorify all of us or something like that. But he said Tirtha Yatra or pilgrimage is not just going from one known holy place to another without internal transformation. The pilgrimage analysis of this year should be measured on how much we have progressed from this pilgrimage than what we undertook before. So today, if I am feeling very happy about my Chardham Yatra, I need to see what was the yatra that I went before and how I have improved. Just trying to get pious credits is not the complete meaning and the essence of pilgrimage. Just trying to get pious credits is not the complete meaning and essence of pilgrimage. This is not the words exactly in verbatim, but this is the essence of what he's told. I was a bit dumbstruck when he was telling that. And going further, he also said, Sarabham Prabhu said and advised the leaders who are organizing the yatra that they should plan to put and allocate more time in their schedule for kirtans and to listen scriptures. It should not be only going from one temple to another. And as he was giving, he continued further. Today is the day of your introspection to look into yourself on how well or not you have undertaken this year's pilgrimage and what is your commitment to improve for the next pilgrimage. So he said, again, not in verbatim, I'm telling the essence. Today is the day of your introspection to look into yourself on how well or not you have undertaken this year's pilgrimage and what is your commitment of improvement for the next pilgrimage. So this is how we should take our pilgrimage. So I consider to be very fortunate to be there on that day, because those words of him made a huge impact on me, because I was in a different mood of celebration that we did a fantastic job. So from that time onwards, of course, after the session was over, I was externally participating in that gala dinner, but I was internally churning what he told. So for that, I find myself to be very fortunate. So that night, I did introspect about the trip as told by Sarvam Prabhu. And the result was clear, and the result was not what I wanted it to be. I came to the conclusion that I did complete the pilgrimage per se, but I did not perform the real pilgrimage. I recounted that 16 days of what happened, what were the duties that were assigned to me, and how I delivered to them. Then I could see that I committed so many faults during the trip. Voluntary austerity was missing. Desire to get recognized was there. And some kind of envy, jealous were also there. Seva bhav or feeling of service was not there to the extent that it should be. And I was also doubting at times, without any fair reason, on what is being said about the holy places. Like this, so many thoughts came to my mind, because in sometimes when we go to Tirtha Yatras, people do talk about that, and somehow I was not believing in what was being told. So when I introspected myself, all these things were coming like bullets. So obviously, a very deep surge of guilt came through my mind that I failed to perform this pilgrimage in the real sense. I did perform externally. It was definitely not a good feeling. So for a moment, I was pretty sad to myself that I lost a fantastic opportunity to have done this great pilgrimage in the right sense. However, even though Sarvam Prabhuji gave some important instructions, in his sermon, he also gave us some hope that we can try to improve. And this inspired me to explore more about the real meaning of pilgrimage, to the extent that I can understand. Even though Sarvabhauma Prabhuji gave some pointers that it is not going one temple after another, it is about internal realization and improvement of our consciousness. So that feeling gave me a kind of a consolation. So, dear devotees, I pause here to tell one very important benefit of going to pilgrimage. Even though we're going to talk about different advantages, but this is one important. While doing the pilgrimage, that too when you have an opportunity to do pilgrimage with some important personalities, we get to meet those devotees. And sometimes it also happens that we get to meet them in a very relaxed, informal manner. And the lessons that we learn and the instructions that we get can be life-changing. So, being there on the last day of Chardham Yatra, in the mood of celebration, and having had the opportunity to listen to Sar Brahma Prabhu was my wow moment of the trip. And it gave me an impetus to read and to know more about what is a pilgrimage. Okay, so ever since that day, after that, of course, COVID came 1 year later and we couldn't do the real physical pilgrimages, but even the online pilgrimages or whatever little pilgrimages I did, I think I've done, at least I tried to do in a very different way. Okay, so before we dwell into what exactly is a pilgrimage, particularly from a devotee point of view, let's take a quick interactive session. What are some of the reasons on why people go to pilgrimage? In the sense of dharma, artha, kama, moksha, religiosity, economic development, desires fulfillment, and liberation, and some material perspectives. Can you share something? What are the common reasons why we go to pilgrimage? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha perspective. Any ideas? Any inputs? Why do we go to pilgrimage? Why do we have to go to pilgrimage? Get some? Yeah, increase the pious credits. Yeah, anything else? Wash away sins. Yeah. Association is a devotional thing. Yeah, fine. Anything else? From a material angle? Sightseeing, very good. Nice. Any other things? Peace, getting peace, you're very good. Anything else? Yeah, for want of time, I'll just stop the interaction here. But there are several reasons. I'll try to tell one by one quickly, but this is not the subject matter of today. It is the next part that is subject matter. But we need to know, because we also may be doing pilgrimage in the name of pilgrimage, but within these things. First is fulfillment of religious mandates. Somebody would have told or we would have read that we have to go, in our lifetime, we have to go and do some oblations or forefathers, or there's a rule of a family that we have to do. So religious mandates, fulfilling, nothing wrong. And in all these things that I'm telling are nothing, they're not wrong. We are only trying to differentiate between a pilgrimage done in the dharma, artha, kama, moksha mode and in the bhakti mode. That's all. Don't get me wrong. All these things are there. Yeah. And penance for sins committed. And sometimes we also see in ISKCON when devotees commit mistakes and their spiritual masters ask them to go on a penance, and typically they ask them to go to pilgrimage places and try to meditate there. Seeking forgiveness, because sometimes we make horrible mistakes in our life and we are not able to share those mistakes. We go to pilgrimage and say, forgive me, God. Understanding the glories of the past, because sometimes we read, like or we listen, right? When we read Ramayana or when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, Vrindavan is like this, Ayodhya is like that. So you get some mental pictures, right? So considering that these places are still there, you want to know, to understand the glory of the place. Whether is there a place really where the Krishna has born, Yashoda has born Krishna? Like so much in doubts we have, right? And for purification from sins, which is a very common thing, and to also perform some religious rites and ceremonies. And this is a very common thing, to ask a favor. We see that in pilgrimage, the presence of the Lord is much more stronger, energetic, spiritualized environment to ask a favor. Again, none of these things are wrong, because Krishna in Bhagavad Gita said, Chaturvidha bhajante mam janaha sukritino arjuna artho ardhati jignasu jnanicha bharatashaba. So he has given the 4 categories of people. Opportunity to appreciate nature, because sometimes these spiritual places are in a very beautiful locales. Like if you take the Char Dham, the one which we went, or Uttarakhand Char Dham, where we go to see Ganga, Yamuna, Gangotri, Yamunotri, the places where Ganga originated, Yamuna originated, Kedarnath, Badrinath, they are scenically, phenomenally beautiful. So sometimes people go to appreciate the nature. They try to see the presence of the Lord and appreciate the nature. And sometimes they go to heal their diseases. There are some spiritual places they go for yoga meditation. Rishikesh is very, very popular. A lot of people from abroad also come there. And sometimes escaping from day-to-day stress, sometimes to take off. And understanding, sometimes too, we go, also some people go to understand various cultures. Like in Kumbh Mela, we see so many videos of Westerners or foreigners coming, and they just want to come to feel the diaspora of Indian economy, cultural ecosystem. They want to see so many colors, so many flavors, so they want to understand that. And sometimes to please sadhus and saints, that also is there, and sometimes to increase our punya credit, and sometimes to take bath in those tirthas, holy places, so that the belief is that our sins are eradicated, and sometimes to do charity, because it is believed that charity that you do in a spiritual place yields much more results. Here, one aspect of doing charity is that it may bring us better results. One aspect of charity is doing voluntarily. And some people go to spiritual places to get siddhis, strengths. So they meditate and they want to become powerful. They want to get that kind of a mental strength and so on and so forth. That's why they do a lot of austerities. Because in the olden days, many great saints, sometimes demons, also did those penances in spiritual places and they got great strength. And some people go there to do research, whether this spiritual place exists or not, and they go there to see what is the historical significance of it, to establish the historical significance, or sometimes to go to disapprove that. So like some scientists went to Rameshwaram to prove that there was no bridge built, right? That's the way they go to pilgrimage. So these are some of the common things that people do to go to spiritual place. But of course, we are not that much keen about this. But today we will try to see what are the important reasons on why we go to pilgrimage from a bhakti perspective. Like one of the devotees here said, getting the association of saintly people, this is one of the well-repeated word, and to voluntarily undertake some penances or hardship. So a spiritual trip enables us to do that because everything is very conducive to that. And we also try to go from a bhakti perspective to opportunity to change and an opportunity to reevaluate. Sometimes in our own sadhana, we wanted to progress better and better, but in the current circumstances that we are in the constraints that we live our life, we may not be able to find that that gap or that opportunity to go a bit further. So we take pilgrimage to take off from that day-to-day thing and spend some time in holy place so that we get recuperated and then regenerated to increase our bhakti. And to also praise Lord and to meet very special people. And if when we meet special people, taking the guidance from the holy people for self-reflection and contemplation. Sometimes we meet based on our choice. Sometimes we get the opportunity to listen to their message, just like the way I had the opportunity to get the message from Sarvam Prabhuji. That was a turning point in the way I look at. But there is one very, very important thing than all this. Even though association of saintly people is often quoted, but there's another very important thing. Seers who have done pilgrimages the way they have to be done have revealed this. Pilgrimage is a situation and an opportunity to subdue who we are. because that's the best time for us to reduce our ego, because all our antennas of our mind and brain are very conducive to do that. And this is the key point. So whenever we launch, whenever we start planning to go to a pilgrimage, know how to subdue who we are. The moment we start planning, the moment we land, we need to consciously try to remove our designations to the extent possible. Sometimes it may not be possible, right? Sometimes when we go to pilgrimage, we know somebody, and somebody comes and gives us the respect, and he says that there's a VIP entrance, VIP darshan, and so on and so forth. You can't avoid it. You can't say that I'm subduing myself, I'll not go. That also is not right. But, even though we get that special treatment, special darshan, we pay for darshan and get the darshan, subduing our mind and consciousness is extremely important. Otherwise, what happens is that it's a very subtle thing. When I go and when I'm embarking on my spiritual journey, somebody contacts me or I get to contact somebody and he says, "Oh no, Prabhu, don't worry, there's a lot of rush, but I'll arrange a VIP darshan for you." I'm very happy because it's convenient for me. It saves my time, it saves everything. But even though when I'm doing that, when I'm taking this opportunity, if I don't remember that I have to subdue my consciousness, what all I remember when I come back from that pilgrimage, when I talk to Paramanand Prabhu, is Paran Prabhu to darshan to acha ho gaya. We had a fantastic darshan, I had got a VIP darshan. That's all I remember. I will forget what I'm supposed to do or supposed to have got, but I'll only remember that I've got VIP darshan. It's an entitlement or a privilege that I've got, right? Why it happens that we always say that I had got a very good darshan, I paid this amount to get darshan, I got a VIP darshan, darshan was so fast, they made me sit for 5 minutes there, they gave me this kind of a thing. Why we remember that than what has transformed us? Because we have not consciously subdued our consciousness before embarking on the spiritual journey. This is what seers tell us, to step back and remember this point. And that's why that can happen. How it can happen, how can I subdue my consciousness, is when I think of the Lord constantly more than what I normally do. And that is why even the Lord is called Tirtha Kirti. That means he is the one who has to be glorified in the Tirtha constantly. So that is an extremely very important. So now, these are the things which are very important. If you are doing it already, I mean, I'm not trying to preach to the preached, right? I'm only trying to say what I went through when I heard the session of Sarvam Prabhuji, and in my journey to understand about pilgrimage, this is what I came to know. Subdue yourself, subdue your mind. You are not what you are in Dubai, because once we went to another Char Dham Yatra, Uttarakhand Char Dham Yatra in 2017, a year before this Bada Char Dham Yatra which I'm talking about. So at that time we had Jagat Prabhu, and in the very beginning days of the Yatra itself, there were quite a few fireworks happening because there were some goof-ups in the hotel accommodation, and we didn't know the hotel structure and all, and devotees started fighting, kind of a thing, tiredness, restlessness, taking care of the family, all sort of things happen. But Jagat Prabhu, in the very first day of the session, told us one very interesting thing. He said, please do not get your Dubai to Char Dham. it won't work. So please be as simple as possible here. Then you will enjoy Chardham. Otherwise, 15 days, 16 days you are there. You are always trying to carry Dubai with you, but you will never be able to carry Dubai here. It doesn't work here. So that was a good, interesting thing. So now we'll quickly go through the 12 important things. Slightly, I'm double clicking whatever I've already said, so there could be some repetition, please forgive me. We need to know that pilgrimage is a journey of the soul. It's a sacred journey that we have to undertake in search of divine, both internally and externally. It's a journey, not that I go there and come back, but it's a journey in search of divine, both internally and externally. The primary goal is purification and self-introspection. And somewhere or other, it has to find a meaning for our purpose on why we exist. This is one very important goal. So, pilgrimage is a journey of the soul, but externally it might appear it's a journey of physically we are going. And other important thing is pilgrimage is beyond the physical realm. It is not a physical travel. It's an inner transformation of consciousness. That means pilgrimage should not end with a boundary in mind that I have gone to this place, I have finished this spiritual journey, my pilgrimage, and I came back. But it has no physical realm. Even though externally we may say that we have gone to a place, but it is not just only the physical travel, but it is the inner transformation of the consciousness. If, this is what acharyas are telling, if it is undertaken with sincerity, it could be a turning point for our deep spiritual realization. And sometimes, often leading to a sudden and significant progress. So we are at this one stage of in our bhakti journey, a good spiritual journey will suddenly take us to somewhere. And this, I'm not telling this as a theory. Vrajaleelanath Prabhu, if he's there, he can vouch for me. Sometimes some devotees come, they are not regular congregation members going here and there. They come 1 or 2 yatras and they're completely transformed. Something hits them in the yatra. We don't know what hits them, but there is some phenomenal transformation that takes place which enables them to become more serious in their devotion service. That is a very clear indication that they have taken up that journey with sincerity, right? So it is beyond the physical realm. It doesn't end there. That physical journey that they have taken to go to a place actually carried them back to where they are. And why all this we are talking about? Because our great sages who have done so many pilgrimages, who are self-realized, conclusively tell us that holy places are reservoirs of spiritual energy. And these holy places mean sacred places, tirthas. They somehow hold a very special divine energy, allowing the pilgrimers to experience a great spiritual power. So that is the reason why there are certain pilgrim places like Vrindavan, Dwarka, and all other Jagannath, Puri, Navadvip Dham you take there. The more and more people go normally, but more and more saintly people also go. Because there is something that holding divine energy attracts them. And that's why they go there. And this is a proof that that place has got something, because a self-realized seer or a self-realized person would not be spending his time to go to anywhere else. They are going there means there is something is there. That itself is a very very, very clear thing. And the other important thing is the challenge of pilgrimage and its spiritual significance. Because every pilgrimage means there is a difficulty and there is travel. And travel means obstacles. So people who do pilgrimage with their soul, their consciousness or the mind in a subdued manner, take these difficulties as not as obstacles, but a part of their purification process. Because overcoming these hardships will help us shed our attachments and limitations of the material world. So this is very important. And challenges, these travel difficulties and obstacles is a very important thing. Sometimes if we do not subdue our consciousness, we get swayed. This is an important point because sometimes these obstacles, when we face, it hurts our ego because somebody stops us from going somewhere, somebody stops, when we just go there and darshan is stopped and they don't allow us, or something happens, a rule changes and we are not allowed, we think that we should be given some respect or something like that, we don't get it. A lot of things do happen, right? So we need to remember that the obstacles should not become hardships and should not become too much of an obstacles. I'll tell you a small incident that I've heard, and I've seen it actually, the video of that person who had gone through this. It's an important, it takes a bit slightly longer time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. We all know that Tirumala Balaji is a very, very famous South Indian kshetra where Lord Venkateshwara is worshipped. Every day, more than 100,000 people go there, 365 days in a year, more than that, right? More than 100,000 people. It's a very, very big kshetra, and a lot of people visit, a lot of VIPs also visit. So there was one time, one visitor was there. He's a very well placed, very high government government personality. So obviously, because of its nature, there are several guest houses, VVIP guest house, VIP guest house, and things like that. And they also have God given, according to their karma, some privileges to attend some very special pujas, which we may not have access to. So this personality also, being a very high senior government official, he was going there. So people, administration there was very well informed, and they made a lot of arrangements. And there was some very special puja also was there, and they've also made arrangement that he and his wife would do. And this is a puja that it is supposed to be performed by both husband and wife together. So this person arrives in Tirumala, and obviously he has not subdued what he is. He is well received. The driver directly takes him to the guest house where he was supposed to stay. And it so happens that a previous guest, also a senior official, had got delayed in vacating that. It happens because sometimes when we go to the temple, it goes beyond control, and that room was not ready. That guest house was not ready. So obviously this person, being a very senior government official, got very angry. So the officials there were also, have to respect this person, and they apologized, sir, sorry. It happened because this person is gone to the temple, he has not come back, so guest house is not free, you cannot go there. But knowing who you are, we have also made an arrangement for another guest house. You go there, go to freshen up, and we'll take you to the temple because there is a special program that is there for you in the temple. You and your wife can do it, and it in such and such a time. And then after you come back, you can come back to this room. But this person was so adamant, and he felt it was an insult for him to stay in a lower grade guest house. So the administrators pleaded with him, sir, please don't bother about it. Kindly quickly go and let's have the puja done and come back. And your guest house will be ready, don't worry. His wife also told him, why are you trying to do this kind of a fuss here? Well, let's finish it off. Let's go whatever is given and go. But somehow his ego was so much that he didn't want to relent. And then he decided to wait, risking that he might be late for the program, but that was not his thing. So finally he got the thing, and this is what I'm telling, what he has told, that how one should not behave in a pilgrim place. And he goes there, he freshens up and he's waiting for his wife, and his wife comes back from the washroom and says that we can't go to the puja because I'm out of altar. That just 2 hours of unnecessary fuss that he made has completely deprived him of what the special darshan that he could have had it. And in a very dramatic and emotional interview, he said, even though he was holding the position for some time, he never ever could get a chance to do that puja again. So this is an important thing. Obstacles, hardships should not be seen with ego. It should be seen as a purificatory process. If that person, ideally, had he subdued his thing, had he taken this obstacle of hardship of going to a lower grade VIP guest house, everything would have been fine. They would have gone, had darshan, and after that, out of altar is not a big deal. So challenges sometimes we come, and we also take some tough stands that I didn't get this room, I didn't get this cab, I will not go. Doesn't work. God doesn't like it in a pilgrim place. In a material world, it may like, he may just leave it. So that's a very important thing. And also we need to know, fifth point is Tirtha generally means a holy place. Tirtha Yatra, or a trip to the holy place for purification, right? But the scriptures and the seers also give another meaning to Tirtha. Another Sanskrit meaning for Tirtha is crossing. Crossing, like you cross a bridge. Tirtha means a crossing from our material existence to spiritual realization. That's what actually happens or should happen in a Tirtha Yatra. That means our material consciousness should decrease and our spiritual realization has to increase. And then we know that we have done the Tirtha Yatra that has enabled us to cross that issue. Yeah? Otherwise, Tirtha Yatra will not be Tirtha Yatra. And of course, renunciation and spiritual growth, right? Leaving behind the comfort zones is one very important aspect of spiritual yatra. Just now we have taken an example. And when we are going to these Tirtha Yatras, we know that Tirtha Yatras have a special energy, but we need to know why that special energy has come. Where has that special energy has come? Is it somebody has just dumped that special energy? So one is, in Tirtha Yatras, we see a very high standard of deity worship. And also in some Tirtha Yatras, the deities are Swayambhu, by their self-manifested. And they are worshipped not this year, not 10 years, not 100 years. They have been worshipped for millions of years or thousands of years. So potency increases day by day. And many saints and even the incarnations also have visited or visiting these Tirtha Yatras, that making it energy double. And cumulative strength of bhakti from the countless pilgrims over the time. Cumulative energy is every devotee comes, he deposits some energy there and he takes something there, right? That deposit is always building. And that's why holy places are known to store transcendental energy. And that's why they are known to accelerate our spiritual growth. So that's a very significant thing. So when we go to spiritual place, when we bow down to the lordships, we should remember all these points, that these are being worshipped for many, many years. Many footprints of saints and the incarnations have come, and there is a cumulative strength, spiritual strength in that place. If we go with that feeling, with a subdued mind, our antennas get automatically tuned to receive what we need to receive. Otherwise, we'll just go, come back and be happy, and probably take some few photographs outside the temple, send it immediately, put in a Facebook or WhatsApp, and we think that that is Tirtha Yatra. So we need to be very careful. If we know why it is very... And in Bhagavad Gita also it is said, right, holy place is a kshetra. In Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter, 1st and 2nd shloka, Arjuna asks and Krishna replies that he says that body is like a kshetra, is a field. And Tirtha, the holy place, is also a field of sacred energy. When a devoted soul or a kshetrajna, knower of that, enters into that place with sincerity, it creates an environment for an immense spiritual growth for him. Just like the way Krishna tells the body, a knower of the body. If you know that, that is the knowledge, right? Same thing will happen with this. And another very important thing, which is very dear to ISKCON devotees, will be, should be, and must be. Normally, we say that we have visited a place, right? It's a very common thing. I visited Vrindavan, I went to Vrindavan. But then, in all our aspects of what we do, we need to think that usage of the word in a slightly different way. We need to adopt to say that I went to serve the Dham. I went to serve the pilgrim place. Because that service may include charity, preaching, listening to Dhamvasis, and it also could be a silent prayer for benefit of all. But why that the word serving is very important in what we do? It's not serving just means we do seva. Serving means we can do even in Tirtha Yatras. We go there to serve the Dham. Why Acharyas tell that we need to do this is that by going to Tirtha Yatra, by going to the holy place with a mood to serve, not to visit, helps us to quickly soften our heart and attracts us to the divine. That's a very important thing. So this word usage is now common in ISKCON. If you happen to read a book, a very, very good book of Damodardesh Prabhu on how to read and teach scriptures. He has written a wonderful book, small book. In that, Gauranga Prabhu has given an introduction. So in one para, it's a very striking paragraph. I like it very much. I read it many times. He said, for 3 decades, I have been, he didn't use the word reading, I have been serving the books of Srila Prabhupada. And what it gave me is it gave me an attitude on how to appreciate the devotees. So he says, by serving Srila Prabhupada books, if I say that I'm reading Srila Prabhupada books, then serving Srila Prabhupada books is a huge difference. So same way, like going, visiting a holy place and visiting, serving the holy place is very, very interesting. When I went to first time to Chardham, Uttarakhand Chardham, Ganga and Yamuna, one thing I strikingly saw there, the devotees, local devotees, we just say Ganga, Ganga, right? You will never hear they saying Ganga. Ganga ji, Yamuna ji, Ganga ji, Yamuna ji, Ganga ji, Yamuna ji. So when you start talking to them, you suddenly feel that, no, these are not rivers. These are some personalities that they are talking about. So they personalize the rivers so much, internalize them. They say Ganga ji, Yamuna ji. So I was feeling very odd. We normally say Ganga, Yamuna, right? So I still say that. I mean, I should stop doing that. But of course, and cultivation of surrender, this is another very key thing when we go to pilgrimage, dependence on the Lord. So sometimes we go to pilgrimage with the proper planning and all that facilities available. So we tend to feel that we are not dependent on the God, but something can happen. But when we go to pilgrimages like Kumbh Mela, the dependence is too much. So I was also working with Rajleelanath Prabhu on preparing some notes for the yatra, and so I've done that, my service. Prabhu liked it, so I was happy. And then on Friday night, I had sat together and I said I should do much more service, because Prabhu is doing so much service. Let me add some service. And I prepared a list of 30 questions. I said, Prabhu, I'm also member of the team, your team, but I'm also a member of the whole Yatra group that you're taking. So I have a right to ask some questions. I have the right to get the answers. So Friday night I sent a no reply, Saturday morning. So it so happened that Saturday afternoon I met him. I said, Prabhu, I sent you such a long questionnaire. I didn't get any answer. He simply said, I don't have an answer for your single question. So if you want to come, you come. Otherwise, don't come. So cultivation of surrender to depend on the Lord, entirely to depend on the Lord. In the case of Kumbh Mela, there you're going with hundreds of questions in your mind. What will happen? Nobody knows. But we still go because we are trying to inculcate this surrender of the Lord. And then, as I told, pilgrimage is a very important recipe or component of this pilgrimage should be introspection. And very essence of pilgrimage, when we go to pilgrimage, we need to see how we are rediscovering ourselves. Okay? So this is the whole essence. I will read one paragraph, small paragraph, and then if you all want to repeat with me. Okay, so very small. A pilgrimage is a sacred journey in search of divine inside and outside us. The overall intention is the purification of the heart and to give us time to ourselves to introspect on where we are, where we intend to go in our devotional journey. This is real pilgrimage. So, I just want to share some thoughts about it. There are two small topics, I don't know how much time, but first I'll tell what. So while I was, this interesting thing, right? My journey of understanding spiritual pilgrimage started in 2018 when I heard Sarvam Prabhuji's class session, and it went on. And yesterday night I was trying to collate the data that I have, the information that I had. I suddenly, it struck me something which I want to share. So undertaking pilgrimage is not easy because it needs resources. It's very resource intensive. It costs money. We should have money. In some occasions, office or business hurdles, family matters, health constraints can be there. So it's common, right? Not all people can afford to go. So I was thinking, how can I, if I have these constraints, can do a pilgrimage staying in Dubai or sitting in Dubai? Suddenly, a thought came to my mind. Please don't laugh it if you don't like it. Really, this thought came to my mind. Very intuitively, it came to my mind. So I said to myself, can we undertake pilgrimage sitting in Dubai? Deep in my heart, the answer came as yes. It's not no. So I was thinking, how can the answer be yes? So I tried to go deeper. Then again, I got the answer from within. It says, in one sense, please don't laugh. In one sense, I'll explain why I'm telling this. In one sense, attending weekly RIS program here or going to Old Bardubai Hall on Friday evening is also a pilgrimage. Because all what we have told now are available here. For example, we'll just quickly cover. Several saints come here, scholarly devotees come here, very experienced and accomplished devotees come here. We don't go there. They come here and they share their realizations for our benefit. So they carry holy places with them. So sitting in Damodardesh, where the leaders are giving us such a great opportunity, it's not just going to a temple, but it's going to a pilgrimage. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, one very important shloka comes, first canto, 13th chapter, 10th. It says, I will not read the shloka because of the want of time. My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of the Godhead within your heart, you turn all places into the place of pilgrimage. So we have that opportunity of converting or experiencing Regent School program as a pilgrimage because great saints come here. Bhavatvida Bhagavata Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirti Kurvanti Tirthani Swantaha Stena Gadabhrata. This is the shloka, very important shloka. And not only the saints come and do. So what all happens in, say, in a holy place, it also happens here, but suddenly, sometimes, which is something which is very close, you don't tend to recognize. So for example, I come to RAS. So I see a great saintly person, I had an opportunity to be with him, that's fine. But what else I see? I can witness, if I have that vision, to see so many services that are getting performed here automatically, right? If I just see there, I can see. Kirtans are there, garland making services are there, deity worship is there, altar decor is there, Aarti is there, book table is there, Krishna store is there, Bhakti fund is there, Prasadam distribution is there. If you're just not satisfied, if you go to the glass box, you say Dhrida Bhakti is going on, Mridanga class is going on, and in parking lot, Prasadam transport service is going on, Vahan Seva is going on, getting people from metro to here, cooking services slightly away, Sonapur is going on, and serving, and devotees are listening to what people are being saying. And Naikatma Prabhu is there. This book distribution is also going on. So apart from getting in touch with the great personalities, if we just come to Regent School, sit peacefully, and just don't do anything, appreciate what is going on, that is enough of a pilgrimage for the full week. This is very important. So our weekly pilgrimage is done. And my weekly pilgrimage, I try to do mentally, because every time, everything, you can't be appreciating others. It may look quite embarrassing, because once I know that I came here and somebody asked me to suddenly introduce Yola Prabhu, I went out of band. And he said, Jagan, you are banned from introducing me forever. So sometimes loving devotees, appreciating also goes uncontrollable sometimes. But internally, if we start appreciating, seeing these things, and that itself is a great pilgrimage. And for me, the pilgrimage also extends for one more seva. My Sunday pilgrimage to RS doesn't complete without I meeting and appreciating and getting some chastisement from my elder brother Purnananda Prabhu. Because when we are all sitting comfortably here, he himself and with Danny Prabhu and others sit in a very congested environment there, not much of lighting, not much of airflow. For he stands there or sits there for 2 hours to ensure the prasadam distribution is done, logistics are done. So my ritual of completing the every Sunday RS program is to go there and salute him, say Hare Krishna, hug him, and sometimes he gives me some slaps here and there. Take him with a good spirit, enjoy that banter with him. He tries to pull my leg quite often, but I enjoy that. So that is how Sunday, every week pilgrimage is done. And people also have opportunity who cannot come to RAS, they can also go to Old Dubai on Fridays. Same thing, similar thing happens. So with these little pilgrimages that we can do, which are very easily affordable, we'll definitely get an opportunity to do bigger pilgrimages in the right sense. Okay, so this is my main part of the thing. If I have 10 minutes, I'll tell something more. It's also very important. So we all said about philosophy and things like that, right? And be in the mood of servitude, be in the mood of worship and all. But there's one more thing that when we go to pilgrimage, we must do it. Sometimes we tend to forget to do that. or at least I tend to forget to do that. When we go to a pilgrimage, when we see the deities, when we enjoy that, we must make an attempt, a sincere attempt to capture those moments and keep it in our memory. And repeatedly remembering them within ourselves so that they remain in our memory. If I'm going to Vrindavan, even for 5 days, remember something very good, something transformative happened, and remember, and try to repeat ourselves so it remains. Why? For that, I have to introduce you a wonderful book called this. It's a very serious book. It's a book that doesn't directly deal with the subject matter of pilgrimage. It is Kamala Devi's Path to Goloka Vrindavan. So, obviously, there is somebody by name Kamala, and she is gone to Golok Vrindavan, and that's a pilgrimage that she has undertaken. And it is compiled by His Holiness Bhakti Brihad Bhagat Swami Maharaj. Very, very potent book. I don't know how many times I've thanked Hamsa Gokul Prabhu for gifting me this book. I've read it a couple of times, and first time when I read it, I had to stop 2 times because I couldn't stop crying. I'll tell you the small background of this book and a brief on what I've got it. I will not go into details. So Kamala Devi was born in Mauritius, and they lived there. And she's from a very affluent family. Very affluent family. They have some paint business or something like that. But this affluence never came in her way of performing devotion service ever since she got in touch with ISKCON devotees. She was known to be humble, did various services like preaching, book distribution, cooking bhoga, cleaning kitchen, washing pots, even though she's a very affluent, and serving visiting devotees very well, and all this while providing financial support because they are from a very rich family. And not only that, she had an extremely supportive family. Her husband is a doctor, and she had 2 good children who are also in Krishna consciousness. And on top of it, her spiritual master, Giriraj Maharaj, was always pleased with her service. And very ideal and blessed situation in life. You can imagine affluency, devotion, opportunities to serve. Guru Maharaj is pleased, nice family, husband, kids. You can't imagine, right? But this is material world. This is material world. Padam padam yat vipadam, like the way it is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 16th chapter, 58. When all was going phenomenally well in Kamala Devi Dasi's life, she gets diagnosed with cancer. And very soon, they also diagnosed that she is having stage 4 situation where cancer has spread multiple places of her body. So, obviously, it's an irrecoverable condition, and Kamala Devi Dasi's exit started coming close, and she was feeling very, very weak. At that time, Giriraj Maharaj came to know about it, and he was sad. At that time, when the exit was coming close, His Holiness Bhakti Brihad Bhagat Maharaj, who was compiled this book, happened to be in Mauritius. So Giriraj Maharaj requested him to stay there, and he has made an arrangement for Maharaj to stay in an apartment which is close to Kamala Devi Mataji's house. So for about 10 days in the month of May that year, His Holiness Bhakti Brihad Bhagat Swami Maharaj used to go to Kamala Devi Mataji's house and to have conversations with her to prepare her to exit. So why there is connection to that and this, I'll come to the pilgrimage. So book is about those conversations of how Maharaj has elevated her consciousness to ensure a path, a journey back to Godhead. That's the best pilgrimage that she could have undertaken, right? And these conversations are very profound. And this book is actually a transcription of the audio tapes that were recorded. So it is so authentic. They were recording, and then the book was published. And in the book forward, Maharaj says, Kamala allowed me the privilege to serve her, but I realized that I was helping myself in Krishna consciousness more than assisting Kamala Devi Dasi on her way back to home, back to Golok Vrindavan. So in this part of this conversation has a bearing on pilgrimage. So in order to what do you call, to bring or to liven up the consciousness of Kamala Devi, who is otherwise having very big pain, very lot of pain, bodily pain and also mentally distressed, that she was always feeling that she as a mother could not fulfill her duty and yes, she has to go. So that feeling was there. To alleviate that pain and to bring the real consciousness, Maharaj asks few questions. First he talks about her well-being and how she should transfer her suffering and all. That's the one part. But as the days come closer to her exit, so this happened in May, Maharaj basically starts her to take to her remembrances of what she has seen and experiences during her pilgrimages. I remember, to elevate her consciousness so that she remembers Krishna, Maharaj asks her questions on what she has remembered during her pilgrimage. So that's why what we experience and what we see in pilgrimages have to be internalized very much so that they become hard-coded in our memory. So in the stages, I don't wish that any one of us to go through, but eventually we have to go in some way or other. So that memory, if it has to come, it has to be within us. Sometimes we may be capturing those memories in our phones. That's fine, because I have to share, I have to refer. But that phone will not be there with me in those times. What is there with me is only my memory and my feeling. And Maharaj churns that from her. And he started with simple question. I'll only tell a few questions. And in the deep pain, Kamala Devi actually starts responding. And that response itself slowly elevates her consciousness to a stage where she's ready to go very happily. Maharaj starts, he said, when you take darshan of Mayapur, when you visit Mayapur, who is your favorite? So I will not go into the details, but it's a very interesting conversation. Again, Tirthasthal, right? She going to Mayapur. When you take darshan in Vrindavan, who is your favorite? So immediately she's trying to remember. She's weak sometimes. For Mayapur, she says Radharani. For Vrindavan, she says Nityanand. And Maharaj asks, why Nityanand and Vrindavan? You know, that churning happens. And then he goes further. So in Vrindavan, there is one beautiful place called Imlitala. Have you seen it? So he makes her remember the time she went to Vrindavan, and she also remembers how Mahanidhi Maharaj was there with them. And he asked few questions on Imlitala, what she has seen, what she has learned there, and she's remembering that. And then Maharaj extends the conversation of Krishna meeting, Radha and Krishna meeting at that place, and how she remembers that what she heard about that pastime. She's trying to remember, she's in deep pain, but something is coming up through her inner channels, inner quarters of memory on what she has seen, and Maharaj asking. And then Maharaj goes and says, do you remember anything about the place called Jagat? And then she replies something. And then he says, do you remember any place between Javat and Nandagram? And I think there's a bit of hesitation there. And then she guides her, Ter Kadamba tree. And have you visited it? Have you seen it? What did you hear? And then, and Maharaj, as she answering, without her knowledge, slowly her consciousness was building up, purifying. Like this, Maharaj makes her remember what all Kamala has seen and what all Kamala has experienced. And as the day of few days before her passing, I think, Maharaj asked one very, very pertinent question. And by that time, Mataji is very weak. He asked, where do cows live? And Mataji says, Brindavan. And then the question on why do they live? And then Maharaj again asked her, do you remember anything about Brindavan? And Kamala Devi replies, yeah, I remember Gokula. I remember that place where Krishna is tied and he became Damodara, and that mortar is still there. I have seen it. All this she is telling. And then she also says, yeah, I also see Mathura. I've also seen Mathura where Krishna is born. And this is the very important thing. Maharaj, in the course of that conversation of 10 days, completely brings all those memories that were stored. Because Kamala Devi was a good devotee, she made the best use of her pilgrimage to store those memories into her heart. So that is our connection. And then, interestingly, Kamala, at this last stage, he says, Kamala continues, I feel most fortunate that I recently visited Vrindavan in February. This conversation of her departure is happening in May, just 4 months before all this happened, all this turmoil in their life. And then Maharaj says that while telling that, while remembering Vrindavan, and while he also tells, then she says, like she's kind of going, and Maharaj asks, where are you going? What are you seeing? She says, I'm seeing cows. Then he says, I'm seeing bright light, I'm seeing that, I'm seeing this. And she's actually telling what she has seen and what she has remembered in Vrindavan. And that image that she's telling is actually the image that we hear, but what we hear about Goloka. And then Maharaj says, go. It's very difficult, right? If somebody is there, he said, you go. Go means, in a very gross sense, die. Maharaj says, now it's time you go. You go. You go. Don't look back. Because Maharaj knows that at one point in conversation, she does say that, he asks, do you have any regret? Kamala Devi says, yes, I have one regret because I'm leaving early in life and I have 2 kids. I feel that I have not done my duty as mother. So Maharaj wants to disentangle that. Says, go, go, go. So on the final day, all what this happened when her consciousness is very pure, early morning, while she was listening to the kirtan and arti ceremony, she goes. So this is a super book, and this has got one very important message for us from pilgrimage point of view. So let's not waste that opportunity to put whatever we can put, the wonderful things that we experience while doing pilgrimage deep in our hearts. The only way we can do that is telling to somebody about what we have seen. More than that, tell to ourselves. Tell to ourselves. Tell to ourselves. So at the moment of crisis, at least if we have the opportunity to get somebody like Maharaj to open us up, or our own self, we can remember those wonderful things. If we have not gone to pilgrimage, if you have not experienced that pilgrimage, if you have just gone to that holy place and came back and just remember the count of the temples that we have gone on, number of times that you have gone to Vrindavan, number of times we have taken VIP darshan, number of times we have taken a paid darshan, gone. This opportunity will not be there. So pilgrimage, apart from internal introspection, apart from internal purification, remembrance of that pilgrimage, and from pilgrim to pilgrim, we have to see how well we have progressed in our devotional life. When I'm saying you means it's also a big thing. So next weekend, I am also there with Rajlilana Prabhu with going to Mahakumbh Mela. I do not know how much whatever I've talked here will be followed. Luckily, Rajlilanath Prabhu is not here, so if he is there, he will benchmark me on my behavior there. But please pray for us so that we get the experience of Kumbha Mela. Going there, we are going with so many uncertainties. in the mood of surrender and trying to subdue ourselves on who we are. And please pray for us that we'll have a good experience to cherish, to remember, and also to share with all of you, so that we can always remember what a real pilgrimage means. And don't forget, coming to RAS or going to Birthday Hall is also a pilgrimage if we come in that consciousness. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I thank the organizers here for giving me this opportunity to, in front of you, to speak. It's been a good experience for me to prepare for this session. I hope next time when you embark on pilgrimage, you remember some pointers from this and make your pilgrimage a very real successful one. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. His Grace Jagannath Prabhu Ji ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Prabhu. I know this class was for me only. I have to subdue all my ego because I've been traveling under your leadership twice or thrice, and I know and I've learned so many things from you, Prabhuji. Because as you mentioned, we've been traveling Char Dham, small Char Dham and big Char Dham under the leadership of Jagannath Prabhuji. Prabhuji's best quality is what he was saying, he was following it. He said, I'm not following, but he was following it. When we used to travel, he was the last person to check in. Prabhu, आपको AC का room नहीं मिलेगा, चलेगा. We used to take all the AC room and everything, whatever last left, Prabhu and Mataji, Revati Govindi Mataji, they will sit, they will see everybody is checked in, then they will go in. And at the last, they will upload the bus. Everybody is up there, then they will come in. And one night, I cannot forget, we were in the Gangotri, and the bottom of the Gangotri, we had darshan and we were down, and we had a tent near the river, Ganga. We were all sleeping on the tent. So at night 3:30, Prabhuji is awake and messaging. I can see a lot of thunders, I can hear a lot of sound coming up. Is everything okay in your camp? Is everything okay in your tent? And we are all sleeping. And in the morning I'm looking at that message. So I was wondering at the 3 o'clock at night, he's still awake and he's worried about us that everything is okay. Thank you, Prabhu. It was really nice. And it was really great. The last one to take prasad. The last one. We used to take Palif prasad. Great. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. If anybody has any question? किसी का कोई प्रश्न है? Yes, प्रभु जी पूछिए.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I had a very small question. Like as you explained, when we are going to pilgrimage, we should go with an intention, like we are serving the pilgrimage. So I'm having a question like pilgrimage in its own, it's a very great thing. And if we inculcate this kind of thinking, like I'm serving pilgrimage or like I'm serving Srila Prabhupada books itself, it's a very big thing. So this gives us a kind of pride in us. Like it's a show of pride, ahankar.
No, Prabhu. When you serve, you get your respect towards the person who are serving increases. When you serve Prabhupada, you appreciate Prabhupada more. You serve the devotees in Holy Dham, you appreciate them more. Serving, like if our serving is authentic, the result is appreciation, nothing else.
It's not ahankar.
It not. If it is proper, it cannot be ahankar. Because when you appreciate somebody, you are not in ahankar, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you have to mechanically sometimes practice.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Damodardesh Pranam. Prabhu, thank you for taking us to the pilgrimage, and I will carry the right mindset which you have discussed. My question is, what is the difference between Tirtha and Dhama? What is the difference between Tirtha and Dhama?
Technically, they're same, Prabhu. Tirtha is typically used from I think Sanskrit etymology point of view. Dham is also a place where the Lord resides, and Dham typically is a place where Lord has done a lot of pastimes. Tirtha may not be, it could be a very Swayambhu thing, and not many pastimes are there in Tirtha. But in Dham, you'll have pastimes. Ayodhya Dham, Vrindavan Dham, your pastimes. So that beauty. Yeah, it's the same thing. Visiting Dham is also a pilgrimage. But Dham typically has associated with pastimes. This is what is my understanding. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Jagan Prabhu, for the wonderful class. We have a special guest today with us, His Grace Achintya Gopesh Prabhu from ISKCON Kargar. We welcome him. Prabhu, you all know him. He is a brother of our Haridas Warrior Prabhu. He is an amazing speaker. Yesterday, we had Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So, Prabhu, we welcome you. Thank you.
Should address him as special guest, because his younger brother himself is a special shining star of Damodardesh. So we are very blessed by your brother Prabhu. Super service, super preaching. So welcome you, Hare Krishna.
So this was very privileged. We heard some special messages today. So I'm very thankful. Now we can associate in a very nice way. I'm very thankful.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. We have a quick announcement. Sponsor for the day. Rupini Madhavi Mataji, Saraswati Mataji, Sakshi Mataji, Pavitra and Govindanand Prabhu are celebrating their 13th wedding anniversary. Deeptiman Gopeshwar Prabhu, Prabha Mataji, Vijay Ratnam Prabhu. So a big Hari Bol for all of these people. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Also, we request you to, give your contribution to Bhakti Fund. Our Madhupati Prabhu is standing there. Please contribute regularly. And next Sunday, we will be celebrating Varaha Dwadashi. And also, we will be having a IDC course here in Regent School. जिसको IDC course करना है, please कृपया आप register कीजिए. Okay. So, Hare Krishna. Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Geetam Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva Eko Mantraha Tasya Namani Yani Karmapi Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva